You're listening to Connected Coaching, where powerful conversations inspire growth, leadership, and transformation. Welcome to the podcast.
This is the second episode of the ICF Switzerland podcast. Today, I'm joined by Robert Garcia, Vice President and Chief Staff Officer of ICF Coaching in Organizations. Welcome, Robert.
Thank you, Susanna. Great to be here. Really excited about our podcast and participating in the upcoming conference.
Absolutely. So, Robert, as you would expect, I have a lot of questions for you. But first and foremost, I want me and our audience to get to know you a little bit better. And so maybe let's spend a little bit of time talking about who you are, what your role is within ICF, and really what brought you to the coaching world.
It's a great question. Of course, I love to talk about myself. I'm kidding. But certainly thrilled to be at ICF. I'm the Vice President of ICF Coaching in Organizations. We are the family organization within the ICF ecosystem that's dedicated to supporting the growth of coaching within organizations that include corporate offices or corporate entities, government agencies. So individuals that work within organizations and lead the coaching practice or the organizational development look to us for tools and resources and support to grow their coaching.
Wow, that's a big mission.
Yes. Yeah, we want to definitely enable the transformation of organizations through coaching.
Okay. And that is that's a big vision. For you, Robert, what do you see as your biggest challenges?
Getting the word out.
Hmm.
Letting individuals that work in organizations know that we exist. ICF, as you know, has a great reputation. We are just about to celebrate our 30th year, but ICF Coaching in Organizations is relatively new. We started our ecosystem just short of 5 years ago. And to this day, we are continuing to educate individuals that we exist, that we provide tools and resources and networking with organizations building coaching capabilities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so for you, Robert, what's your biggest passion, and what makes you wake up excited about your role?
I love coaching. I am an executive coach. I have been coaching on and off, not full time, for the last 20 years. Early on in my career, I experienced coaching. I worked for an organization that was in outplacement. We did career coaching, but we were developing leadership development and coaching. So I had the opportunity to get professionally trained with coach-specific training. And started coaching senior level clients. And I honestly believe that it's one of the most rewarding things that I do when I am able to be with individuals, as you know, and I'm preaching to coaches. So you know what a tremendous opportunity it is to work with people and support them and assist them with reaching their full potential, as we say.
Yeah.
And my other passion really is to travel and experience the world. I've been really fortunate that most of my career, I've had the opportunity to interact with different cultures, different people. I've been to 95 different countries and counting.
Wow.
So I love to travel for business. I love obviously to travel with the family, but in business, it gives me the opportunity to connect with people from different cultures, different countries, and really talk about business and learn more about their culture, their particular city. And it gives me a great opportunity to really understand the business world, the challenges and opportunities. The more I travel, the more I experience different countries and cultures and people, the more I realize that we all have the same challenges and opportunities.
Absolutely. And so, Robert, this is a great segue into our next topic, which is the Future of Work Summit, organized by ICF in conjunction with IMD this week in Switzerland, in Lausanne. So for our audience, this is going to be on the 30th and 31st of October. So it's really this week. And we hope that many of you listening to this will join or have joined if you're listening to this in retrospect. And Robert, you're going to be there. So, what are your sort of hopes, maybe expectations from this Future of Work Summit?
I am really excited to be with you and learn from the other speakers, participants, have an engaging conversation around the future of work and how coaching plays an integral part in that. My conversation or my presentation is going to be on how businesses are using coaching to transform and really be ready for what the future holds. We know that the future is filled with tremendous opportunities, in particular, how AI is really revolutionizing the world of work and how we can integrate that. There's a lot of change that is happening and will happen.
And can you give us can you give us a little, a little sneak peek into what you think is coming?
I think we're going to integrate much more AI into everything that we do. We've just started. Also, we talk a lot about a coaching culture. And we are excited that AI-enabled coaching is a part of that. It not only assists coaches in becoming better coaches, but also providing some coaching, some transactional coaching to individuals. We talk a lot about having coaching available to everyone in the organization. So we believe that AI-enabled coaching can supplement whatever coaching is happening and be able to provide the opportunity for everyone to experience coaching.
Absolutely. We hear a lot about democratizing coaching, and we
Correct.
are hoping that AI-enabled coaching will do just that. But I want us to go back to the coaching culture that you mentioned. And so, in your view, to what extent is it possible, is it easy or difficult to embody a coaching culture? And what do you see as the main challenges? Where do organizations fall short?
Yeah, so the main challenge is funding or lack of funding.
Hmm.
You need to really provide metrics, analytics around the impact of coaching, the return on investment, the return on expectations, to prove to the senior leadership team that coaching works, that coaching is transforming the organization, that is there to support the growth and the future successes of the organization. And that's the challenge, that senior leaders believe in coaching as a way to get them to the future. And I think that part of the challenge is to get senior leaders to experience coaching, because we know when senior leaders are fully engaged in a coaching process, they recognize the tremendous value that it brings and the transformative power of it.
Right. So return on investment is observed on an empirical level. It's once you have experienced it, you can attest to its value, right? For you, for the organization, for your team. But a priori, you don't necessarily see it or believe in it, or it doesn't necessarily have a very clear return on investment, which makes it difficult for organizations to adopt it. Is that a correct?
Yes, yes. And interestingly enough, it seems daunting, the task to are we going to determine the ROI or the impact that the coaching has. There's so many indicators, but we provide a toolkit, resources to organizations so that they can build their own metrics or analytics. And there are many, many, many examples that already exist. We look at engagement. How do we measure engagement? And we can test before and after coaching and see if the needle has moved. We also see turnover as an indicator. We see productivity, profitability. So these are measures that already exist and are great evidence that there is ROI, that the culture has shifted and changed, and the outcomes are better. We know that organizations that have a robust coaching culture are more successful, are able to really accomplish the goals and objectives that they've set out, because there's this driving force of transformation enabled by or powered by coaching.
And so for someone interested, someone, let's say, working in an organization interested in understanding a little bit more about the impact that coaching can have, and when you say we provide, that sort of analytics or those tools, by that you mean we ICF, right? So let's say
Right.
I come from a company. If I'm curious about this, or if I'm really interested in this, what's my first point of contact? Where do I go?
Our website's probably a great way to find more, and look for coaching culture. Click on coaching culture at the top
Hmm.
of the search bar, and you'll see all the resources and tools that we have available. So we have an
Right.
organizational membership. We have close to 100 companies that have joined, and are really on all different stages in this journey to create a coaching culture. Typically starts with the senior leadership team getting executive coaching. That's probably the first step. Next step is developing internal coaching capabilities. We're really excited that there's a huge interest in leaders using coaching skills, team coaching, group coaching, coaching in all aspects of the business. And then, as you said, democratizing coaching, making coaching available to everyone with AI-enabled coaching. So it's a full gamut of coaching modalities that are implemented. And we provide that support through webinars, through informational sessions. We have member spotlights where
Wow.
organizations that are well along, award-winning organizations that have won the ICF Impact Coaching Award will present their strategy, their challenges, their opportunities so that others can learn from them. We also have them network among themselves. So companies, peer-to-peer interactions, leaders of coaching initiatives within organizations talk to each other to help each other out and support each other, in addition to the staff that we have dedicated to really support coaching within organizations.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that our hope with this podcast is that we can make the ICF world more familiar, or at least build, synergies between ICF and organizations, right? Who need that kind of coaching support. Um, so, Robert, what services can CIO provide to best support organizations that want to deploy coaching? What works, what doesn't?
Yeah, so the first step really is to join as an organizational member, and then we have a services that we provide. We start with onboarding. If it doesn't matter if lots of companies come to us and say, "I'm just starting on this coaching journey.
Hmm.
I have less than 5 people involved in it," and that's okay. In fact, we welcome all organizations that are building coaching capabilities. So we have organizations that are just starting out with 3 to 5 internal coaches. Someone's leading the coaching initiative, or it may be the organizational development or even the HR team that is
Hmm.
building capabilities. And then we have organizations that are very sophisticated with robust cultures, the award winners, the AstraZenecas, Microsoft, SAP, that have over 100 coaches currently. So, and everything in between. The challenge is to get started, to join ICF, so that we can provide support and resources. We have something called journey maps
Hmm.
that help you define where you are. We also are really excited that we've created the Coaching Culture Compass. So it's an assessment, maturity matrix, and an insights report. So the organization would provide the assessment to employees throughout the organization. And we
Hmm.
have 22 items, 11 what we call mirrored items, where it's what the company promotes versus what individuals perceive. So many times we see companies are promoting coaching, but individuals aren't seeing the results, or I can't participate. So we want to know
Yeah.
if there are any gaps in that and provide insights into what it is that you need to move from one level to the next.
That is absolutely fascinating. And you're touching on some sensitive territory here. I just out of curiosity, how does business or leadership react when they see that there is a delta between what they think they're putting out in terms of, coaching support and coaching services, and what employees actually experience
Yeah,
on their sentiment?
that's a really good question because, and we're really fortunate. Our targets are typically organizations with a great culture.
Hmm.
These are caring organizations. These organizations really are looking at the well-being of employees. They want to make sure that employees are engaged, that they're being taken care of. So they take it really seriously.
Hmm.
And in fact, I just recently, just this morning, I was talking about an organization that they thought they had a really good culture, but there was gaps. There was a delta between what they promoted and what was perceived, and they took it seriously. And they were worried about how do we make sure that we get to what employees need so that the employees feel supported. I've never experienced someone that doesn't take it seriously, that isn't
Okay.
concerned that how do we move this forward? How do we give more resources and tools? Granted, there are times when there's lack of funding and there's shifts in the business. But again, as I said earlier, those organizations that invest in their people, that invest in coaching, are by far more successful, and our research demonstrates that.
And so to be really provocative here, Robert, I think we can all agree that the global economy is shrinking, and we're seeing a lot of shifts and disruption on a societal level, on a political level, and obviously on an economic level, which impact the funding that coaching and organizations. And
Right.
so, from your experience, what are the top three demands or questions that companies in the US have for CIO?
Yeah, so again, they ask us about our ROI. So what's in it for us? We invest in this organizational membership. What are we getting in return? And because they need to justify it to the senior leadership team and get funding. So we provide obviously tools and resources, benefits, networking, research, specific research. We also help them navigate our ecosystem. We are a relatively complex organization with different family organizations. So a lot of organizations, for instance, are developing their internal training for coaches. So coach-specific
Mm.
training. We help them in getting that training accredited by ICF so that they can provide it to their coaches. Also, coaches, sometimes they need to identify accredited providers to provide to their coaches as they're building coaching capabilities. So we help them. We have a credentialed coach finder. We have educational search services where we provide a directory of our accredited providers. Also, we help them with credentials, the credentials
Yeah,
process. If you are a credentialed coach, you understand what I mean. The process
totally,
is a little
totally.
difficult. Yeah, yeah. So we hold their hand and put on webinars together with credentials and standards to understand how to apply, what is necessary, because lots of organizations are interested. In fact, have it as a given, as a necessity to actually be credentialed. They want credentialed coaches.
I can totally attest to that. I'm working a lot across Europe and the United States, and I can totally confirm that most companies ask for an ICF credential. So this is really state of the art, and you
Right.
know that if you're hiring an ICF credentialed and accredited coach, you know that you will get solid coaching experience, solid
Right.
quality. So, Robert, I wanted to talk a little bit about what happened at ICF Converge last week because you were there.
Right. Right.
So, can you give us an overview of what happened at the conference and what were your main takeaways?
If you weren't there, and if you were there, you know that it's something extraordinary and special. I have an HR background. I started my career in operations, then I moved to HR, and then I found coaching, or coaching found me, right?
Yeah.
So having attended a lot of HR conferences, they're very good. They're full of professional development opportunities. But the average HR person is a bit guarded. Whereas the difference, and I attended my first full coaching conference when I attended ICF Converge in Orlando 2 years ago, and I can tell you that I found my tribe. I was
Ah,
surrounded by people that are like me, and because I had not experienced being surrounded by coaches where the conversations were deep and engaging, where people had your best interest in mind, where it was a
mhm.
collaborative approach. So the conference was well attended. We had about 1,500 attendees, and it wasn't such a large conference where you couldn't interact with the majority of people. So it was such a great way to interact with. We would run into each other and have opportunities to kind of network and debrief on the topics. The keynote speakers were great. Concurrent sessions. There were lots of sessions on organizations building coaching capabilities. So we were able to hear best practices. There were also, the sessions were longer. They were an hour and a half. So we had the opportunity to work with different exercises and interact with different people within the room, in addition to asking questions of the presenters. Some of the themes are that we know are ROI. How do you measure the impact of coaching? How is AI going to influence or affect our business? So general themes, and then how do we prepare for the future?
Yeah. And so what's one thing that surprised you out of everything that you heard and experienced at ICF Converge?
So what surprised? It surprised me that some people were still resisting AI. And it surprised me in when one of the presenters asked, how many of you are using AI on a daily basis, and not every single hand was raised. The majority raised their hand, but there were some people that did not raise their hand. And in October 2025, that someone isn't using AI on a regular basis surprised me.
Right.
And that there's still some coaches that are, I don't know if it's fear,
Yeah.
afraid,
Some
um,
sort of resistance.
resisting, don't necessarily know, they may not feel. So we know that people are fearful that AI is going to take over their job. Anybody,
Yeah.
right? Is my job going to be replaced? And as coaches, I think we think, can AI? And AI is doing a relatively good job. Maybe AI coach is not transformational, but certainly can provide some transactional shifts in mindset. But also we can use the tools to become better coaches, and that's the exciting part. And the surprise is that people don't find it exciting and start learning and using it to become a better person.
And I think that you hit the nail on the head with the resistance or the fear. And that resistance or fear, that's real.
Right.
And so how can we help? And maybe this is true for more, jobs beyond coaching. How can we help reframe this, idea that AI means that we're going to be out of work at a certain point of time? What do we
Yeah.
do about that?
Yeah. What do they say? That it's not AI that's going to take our job. It's somebody using AI that's going to take our jobs. So it's not AI per se, but it's somebody that uses AI that's going to become much more effective. So
Hmm.
how to remedy that is hire a coach, because this is a change, right? It's a change management initiative. And who better to help you experience and accept this change than a coach? Let's
Right.
have a coaching conversation to identify the who, the what of why you're feeling the way you're feeling, and why are you fighting or resisting this change. And organizations are doing that already. And I don't know specifically, but I bet that certainly coaching is being used in organizations for leadership development, for change management. But a lot of this is probably how are we going to incorporate AI into what we do?
And how will we orchestrate everything that we do around AI, and how can we create an experience which AI cannot, right?
Right.
How does what does that mean about how we bring ourselves into the equation, and about our presence as coaches, as
Right.
flesh and bones
Right.
um coaches.
Yeah, and I honestly think that human coaching is not going to go away. The opportunity to interact with people, to really reflect. AI can only take us to a certain level. They're not they're building human capabilities, but I think we still have a few years before they
Yeah.
actually start. In fact, if they start acting too human, it freaks us out. People
Does
people aren't
right?
aren't 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 accepting it because it doesn't seem genuine.
Would you work with an AI coach, Robert, or would you prefer a human coach?
I, I'm a people person, right? I think I like the human to human interaction, but ChatGPT has become my friend. And I find myself where I have a thought and I'm like, I wonder, I'm inquisitive, naturally inquisitive, and I find myself going to ChatGPT just to getting a sense of what's happening, do some research for me and use it. So the more you use it, the more attached to get it, and people are starting to personalize ChatGPT, and having conversations. So I could see how there are lots of organizations that are building great AI-enabled coaching capabilities.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's here to stay.
I think
And
so. And it's going to be a part of it. It's not one or the other. I think
yeah.
it's the integration of all modalities of coaching that will benefit us all. Because the
Mhm.
moment you experience coaching we see that as a gateway to human coaching. You experience AI-enabled coaching and you see the power, imagine the power if you deal with an individual, with a person.
Wonderful.
There's still some subtleties, right, between the human coach and the AI-enabled coach. So when you put something on some sort of platform, many times it's thinking, and you pause, and when a human pauses, that may be, as a coach, we use that. That's one of the powerful tools we use. We pause and we provide some space for individuals to
We hold
interact.
silence, right?
Exactly. We hold silence on purpose, and to help people reflect and think about it. I don't think AI-enabled coaching has mastered that, because we know that they're not capable of doing it.
Right. So, for an AI coach to say, you know what, I don't know the answer to that. I don't have an answer for that. Why don't we just, be silent about it? I've never experienced that myself.
Right.
Okay. Robert, what is one coaching question, or question about coaching, great question about coaching, and that you wish someone would ask you, and it's not been the case so far?
I love it when when I have the opportunity to educate people on coaching.
Mm-hmm.
When number one, so recently I ran into a friend that I hadn't seen in a while, and he said to me, and I think coaching, it's almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because this is what I do. This is how I interact. I use it in conversation. I ask powerful questions. So a lot of the competencies you naturally start utilizing it, right, as part of your communication strategy. But so I ran into him, and I said, he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I work for the International Coaching Federation." And he and he paused, and he said, "Oh, that's interesting. What sport?" And it dawned on me that not everyone is familiar with executive coaching, business coaching, professional coaching, that people hear coaching and they automatically assume that it's sports coaching.
Yes.
So I wish more people would ask me, what are the benefits of coaching? And how can coaching transform my lives? I do have some friends that have tried coaching, may not have had the right coach or the right approach, and unfortunately they haven't had a good experience. There are some of those people, and don't believe. But I can tell you, and I don't know if it's because of where I sit, but the majority of the people that I interact with find that coaching is really transformative. In fact, we were at a conference recently, and we had a booth. We were talking about membership, and we were highlighting the research that we were doing. And one of the participants came and literally at the top of his lungs said, "Coaching changed my life. I am who I am because of coaching." And we're like, grab a camera. Let's record him. But there's so many of those stories. There's so many of those stories that where people find that it has transformed their lives, and they go out of their way to thank a coach. And that's the rewarding part of our industry and our profession.
And thank you for kind of normalizing the fact that sometimes you don't have a great coaching experience.
Right.
Sometimes you don't have, you know,
Yeah.
you end up with maybe not the right coach.
Right.
And that's okay, because I think that our audience needs to know that it takes a while to, you know, or maybe it doesn't, but it might take a while to find the right coach with whom you have chemistry, and that relationship is important, right? So great. Well, thank you so much, Robert. It was an absolute pleasure to have you, and I hope that you will join us on the ICF Switzerland podcast again in the future.
Absolutely. Looking forward to being with you. And for the audience, if you're listening to this before our conference, please join us. We can have conversations. I know if you looked at the agenda, it looks like a jam-packed full of wonderful presentations and opportunities to network. And hopefully if you're joining us afterwards, hopefully you had a great experience, and I look forward to continuing the conversation.
Thank you so much, Robert. We'll see you in Lausanne in a couple of days.
Thank you very much. Great.
All
And
right.
thank you for the opportunity.
You've been listening to Connected Coaching. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation. Check out our other episodes, and we hope to have you back next time.